Alright, howdy folks. Welcome back to Gates of Hell. Today we are not going to be playing Gates of Hell, but we are still going to be watching Gates of Hell being played. Today we are doing a tug of war, or more we are spectating a tug of war between an American faction and the German faction. This is with the Mace mod, as well as the simple damage increase mod, the units overhaul mod, and last but not least, the snowy Tug of Wars mod. Now this is basically just an editor scenario that someone has set up, this someone being Plump Potato on one of Warfare 11's maps, and the objective is very simple. The Germans have this 222, the Americans or the Allies have this M8 armored car, and whoever's command vehicle, because that's what these are, gets destroyed first, that side loses. Now initially, just some infantry from both sides will be duking it out, but eventually we'll be seeing heavier vehicles from infantry up to lighter vehicles, half-tracks, lighter tanks, heavier tanks. We're just going to be sort of spectating this battle, and I guess it's more of a, get excited for the Liberation DLC that's coming to Gates of Hell at some point soon. Understanding of people saying like, hey, why would I buy the Liberation DLC if, Mace and Valor are free? And I feel like there's a whole discussion that can be had about that, but in the end it really comes down to a couple of things. A, you buy the Liberation DLC because you want to support the developers of Gates of Hell, who are going to use that money not only to, pay their bills and buy food and, pay for electricity so they can run the computers that are making Gates of Hell. It also, allows them to make new factions, like they made the Finnish, they released the Scorched Earth DLC, they're going to be working on the American DLC. So it's just to support the developers in their dreams and ambitions of making Gates of Hell a better World War II game. Now, I have no in with the developers when it comes to knowing the next faction, so your guess is as good as mine. I think we all would love to see Italy or France or perhaps even early war Poland, and I'm sure there's a ton of other factions like Hungary, Romania, Greece, the Netherlands, although we didn't really do that much in World War II. You can have a whole, Japan is always one that people talk about. So basically, if you are one of those people that says, hey, I really would love to see Japan in Gates of Hell, buying the Liberation DLC is obviously one way of sort of, I don't want to say sort of confirming that's going to happen. I don't know what the devs are working on. Oh, that guy just got blasted. But it's a way of supporting the developers, and obviously the developers have an idea of what they want to do with the game. Now, second, the Liberation DLC is going to come with its own single-player content. I think like almost 30-odd conquest maps, their own conquest faction, and in the end, it's all going to be original content and not stuff that's ported from War Thunder or ported from World of Tanks. Secretly hoping that there's obviously a little bit of a better dynamic between, the DLC stuff and the base game stuff, versus the fact that some modded stuff just may be a little unrefined sometimes. But in the end, it's really just an option or a decision you have to make for yourself. Personally, I love Gates of Hell, and I think that you should support the developers. But in the end, if you think Mace and Valor are going to do what you want from Gates of Hell, which is to set up battles between the Americans and the Germans, or even the Americans and the Soviets, then, I'm not going to be trying to change your mind here today. Because today, we're just going to be focusing on this battle. I just figured a ton of comments are going to be about the fact that the Liberation DLC is going to cost money, and this is obviously free. And I just feel like you have to make your own decisions on whether or not you think it's worth buying the Liberation DLC when it comes out with, all the advantages and benefits that it'll offer, or you can just obviously stay with the free version of Mace and Valor. The first vehicles have already reached the battlefield. This 251, though, getting absolutely pelted by some of the defensive American AT and machine guns, and now they are disembarking right in front of a whole set of American infantry. I guess I should probably join one of the factions just so we can see. Okay, if we do this, then we know the Americans are green and the Germans are red on the minimap. This makes it a little bit easier to see as to what's going on. So it looks like the Germans have sent up the Jagdpanzer 38. Interestingly enough, a little sub-fact, I actually visited a tank museum near Toronto literally this weekend, and or this week I should say, and the Hetzer that is the only working driving Hetzer in the entirety of Canada, and one of the museum contributors even said perhaps in North America, was actually at that event, which was one that was on the assembly line in, well, at that point in time, Czechoslovakia, and World War II ended and the Hetzer was never finished, and the Czechoslovakian army then took that Hetzer chassis, finished it, and used it in post-war Czechoslovakian army circumstances, and then eventually the museum kind of bought that over, and now they have a semi-World War II-esque Jagdpanzer 38, also obviously called the Hetzer there, which is really cool. It's really cool to see. There's a whole bunch of other tanks I saw there, a Sherman, a Panzer III, a Stuart, a Sherman 76, by the way, not just a regular Sherman, Sherman 76, the same one as we saw in Fury. Okay, I don't know why, wait, why are you getting out of the Jagdpanzer IV? Weird. Anyway, a Jagdpanzer 470, and up against that, the Americans, I'm trying to find where it is here, have brought up an M4A3 with the 105. So maybe it's going to be a little bit of an interesting match here, considering that's probably not going to deal too well with that Jagdpanzer 4 unless it loads heat and gets a nice juicy side shot. Americans have more stuff coming in. Another scout car with the 50 cal on top and the 30 cal in the rear. I am actually kind of interested to see. This could probably knock out a Hetzer with the 50 if it got off the flank. I don't think the Hetzer has great armor protection on the side. The Germans in return have another 251 with the twin machine guns, what looks like some Panzergrenadiers in the back with Panzerfausts. I guess I should really take a look at the combat here as they are, you know, engaging each other on this sort of front line with the Jagdpanzer 470 moving forward into this mostly American-held village. I'm actually kind of wondering what the crew of that, yeah, they should probably retreat and not so much show their side, but they definitely shouldn't be pushing into this village without any, you know, cover from infantry. There's only a single infantryman up front, and there's a whole squad of Americans, and even one of them has what looks like, oh wait, that's just a German. I thought one of them had maybe picked up this this Panzerfaust. That would be interesting to see if there are mods out there where AI will pick up launchers, AT rifles, flamethrowers, even machine guns, and use them against enemies in situations where that's necessary. It would be cool here if the infantry did that, but maybe some of the infantry, like this squad leader, or I guess, never mind, the SMG infantry guy just got shot. I assume they have anti-tank grenades, so he probably would have been in a range about now-ish where he could have gotten a grenade off on that Jagdpanzer IV. Going to turn the HUD off completely for a second here because it does look really good. I love Gates of Hell. This is... Oh, there's a grenade coming in. Oh, that grenade kind of landed in the shed. It's a shame that Gates of Hell comes out when I'm, like, much older. I played the demo for Assault Squad 1 because I initially couldn't afford to buy the full version of Assault Squad 1 because I was, like, a very young high school student, and a very poor high school student at that. And if I had Gates of Hell when I was like 12 or 13, I don't know if I ever would have finished school, because this game is just way, way too cool. Anyway, we have a lot more stuff coming in. Looks like we have a M3 half-track coming in from the Americans, and there is a vehicle here, another 251 on the German side of things, with some disembarking infantry, with some Gross Deutschland Panzergrenadier infantry who are equipped with Panzerfausts and are most likely of a higher veterancy, better trained, better equipped. Then an MG42 with the belts. That's a 250 round MG42 on a very high veterancy infantry member. That could potentially be very bad. Oh, we have an armored engagement. Well, it's not really going to be an engagement because it's the 251, and it's coming up against this Sherman that is currently engaging infantry. But if that does get eyes on, it's only a 105. But that should do a ton of spalling damage even against the 251 if it loads HE. I would not want to be in the driver's seat of that thing. The Americans are bringing up more armor. In this case, the M36 GMC. I think that's the Jackson or the Slugger. I'm actually not 100% sure on the difference between the name, the Jackson, and the Slugger. I always kind of use them sort of interchangingly, where it's like the 90mm armed tank destroyer with a turret. I called him a Slugger or a Jackson. I'm not sure if both of them are true names, and I'm sure someone in the comments will educate me exactly on if it is or not. But so if you do know, I'd actually be interested to know, because I just use those names sort of interchangingly. To me, it's like calling a Jagdpanzer 38 a Hetzer. It's the same thing, although people usually refer to the fact that the Hetzer name never was given to the Jagdpanzer 38 and is like a post-war name, though I'm not really sure how it like kind of came into action. The 105 getting a huge hit on this Stug 3G late, which just fired, and now it looks like that hit not only tracked it, it even caused spalling damage, because the entire crew, or whatever crew is left, has been completely just knocked out, wiped out. We do have some more units coming in here. We have a little M24 Chaffee light tank coming in from the Americans, which is so fast I can barely keep up with the camera. And then here this 251 is being overtaken by the Panzer 38T with a very nice flag and decal here on top. The Germans not in a great spot right here. Oh, this 105 Sherman is about to... Okay, that was brutal. The 251 just got absolutely 50 cal to death. I don't know, was it the armor... Was it the half-track? No. What is shooting at it? It is this M3 half-tracks 50 cal. Or is it this? No, it's the 50 cal on the M36, which I don't think is remote controlled normally. I don't think it can even shoot forward. I think it could only shoot like the opposite turret. I think they would have to stand in here and then point it like this way, kind of. But it is, I guess, remote control in May, so that's kind of a strong remote control turret. But I think that actually set on fire the engine of the 251 before the 105 could even finish it off, and causing actually a decent forest fire to develop over here. The German left flank completely open, bar this Pack 40 and an MG, is it a 34, 42, 34, with the Lafette tripod. Germans, kind of an interesting bunch, had only 2 machine guns during World War II. We're talking about, like, you know, I know they had some other machine guns like the ZBs, and some of the earlier MGs, but we're talking about their main 2 machine guns would obviously be the MG34 and the MG42. The interesting thing is that they use this in an LMG capacity, an MMG capacity, and a HMG capacity. In this capacity, on a tripod, it would be referred to as a heavy machine gun, which I guess normally people refer to as like 50 cal or the Duschka, like any sort of 12.7 millimeter or just a big caliber FU gun. The Germans used this and called it the heavy machine gun. If it's just on if it's being carried by infantry in like an assault roll with the 50 round Gurttummel, which I don't know if this guy has a belt here. I'm just trying to find one specifically that doesn't have the belt. But then it would be called a light machine gun. And I'm not 100% sure on the medium machine gun roll, but I'm aware that they did have a roll for it. Is it either when they had more than just the drum? But basically, some of the comments again will probably enlighten us. But I'm 100% for sure aware that the heavy machine gun roll is on the tripod, the light machine gun is on the drum, and somewhere in between they would basically, I think, refer to it as a medium machine gun. So the Germans not referring to machine guns and their light, heavy, medium class off the caliber, but purely in the way that it was being used, like tripoded or just in an assault roll or perhaps with a bigger belt. Now, the Germans are advancing across this open terrain, trying to protect their left flank, while we have this pack waiting in ambush for... Oh, there comes the M36 in the distance. And I'm kind of secretly seeing... Oh, I don't know. I can barely see the turret of that M36. Is it okay? It's engaging infantry. I don't think you can see the turret anymore. MG is now protecting on the left side. We have a Panther. I actually helped shape the game a tiny bit. I don't know if we'll actually ever notice that change, but the Panther on the map is a medium tank, and it really should be classed as a medium tank, although I can see why it would be classed as a heavy tank. But initially on the in-game, it's called medium tank, Panzerkampfwagen, Panther, and then the Ausführung, the version. And it was always called medium tank, but on the screen on the minimap, it was always a heavy tank. And I mentioned this to the developers multiple times, like, guys, this is just really bothering my autism. It doesn't make sense. Make it a heavy and call it a heavy, or make it a medium and call it a medium. So I'm very happy that a couple of patches ago, they updated the minimap icon to match that of a medium tank. The 105 Sherman just getting absolutely destroyed by the Tiger E. Tiger E being overrun, well, I don't want to say overrun, but there's an M36B2 with the 90 mil, and it bounced. Oh no, the Tiger missed. It hit the rear engine, and I think it knocked off some of the Schurzen, the side skirts. Oh, that one may be done. Oh, this is like the battle of a sort of behemoth. So, oh no, actually, is that a crew dismount? That's a crew dismount. However, the Tiger is currently being engaged from the left. It's rotating its turret. I'm not sure where. It's like engaged by a 90 mil, I think. Oh, there it is. It's got eyes on. It's engaging some infantry around. That crew is not having any luck with their accuracy. They just knocked the tracks off this Tiger, and they just knocked more Schurzen off. Actually, no, that might have been the front bender, sort of the, yeah, this plate, but on the other side, it just knocked that off. Was that it? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What did they just, oh, they just threw incendiary grenades at the Tiger. I thought that they were TNTs or something. So the Tiger just got double incendiary grenaded. Now there's smoke happening. I don't know if this Tiger is long for this world. And on the left side, the German machine gun position has been disabled. The pack is still up, though they have lost one of their crew members. There is an M3 just charging forward. The Germans are down to just a couple of units to defend their HQ vehicle. The Puma here, which is just a 234 with the 50 millimeter. It's currently actually in a sort of life and death situation against this M3. The 50 cal really shouldn't have a ton of issues going straight through this Puma. So kind of whoever shoots wins. The Tiger has been knocked out. That is absolutely brutal. Actually, let's turn off the clip camera position so we can get a little more cheeky shots here. Though it may also end up being a little bit more buggy if we go like through terrain. But this Tiger completely annihilated. The incendiary grenades causing a lot more damage to this thing than I honestly thought was possible. Then we have the German mortars are now engaging because the Americans have approached this close. We've actually already seen one of the casualties of the mortar crew. We have another Sherman there with an M4A1 coming up against the Puma. I really don't think it's a secret who's going to win. The 50 cal alone could potentially kill the crew, or at least stun the crew inside of this Puma. Oh, they're currently just kind of missing each other. The Panther on the left is, that's kind of the bug I was talking about. Panther on the left is cleaning out the forest single-handedly without any infantry cover. The pack and machine gun on the right side have been annihilated, so now only this medium tank, which is a Panzer III-M, facing off against an M4A1. I actually saw a Panzer III, as I said earlier, at this event near Toronto this week. It was a J version, and interestingly enough, I think that one was also a like late war build that wasn't finished. And then they took it, and I think they finished it. Oh, that was just an atrocious shot. I don't think, guys, like, what's happening here? Oh, it just bounced on its turret. The crew in the Sherman was stunned from the side hit, but now the Panzer III crew is also stunned, so the Sherman's going to get most likely another free shot. What is happening? They're both just trading shots, and oh, the crew dismounted. Not going to lie. Did not give this Panzer III much of an opportunity to win, but they did. More reinforcements are now coming in. We have a, oh, that's the glitch there. Sorry about that. Panzer IV-J on the field. The Americans are bringing up, I have to find what it is, an M4A1, and the Americans are also bringing up another lighter vehicle, another M3 half-track, with just more infantry on board. This is probably going to be a 2.5. Oh, ew. It's one of these Panhard armored cars. That the Germans, it's a French armored car, was a French armored car that then was put into service by the Germans, usually as a training vehicle or sort of like a second line vehicle. There's even a version of this in game where this is sort of a armored train where they took the wheels off and they made it sort of have those rail guidance things so it could be used to like guard trains and stuff against partisans. But yeah, this not very effective. I think the 2.5 centimeter doesn't have HE, which leaves it only a single machine gun to defend itself with, and obviously the main gun only fires AP, which actually still didn't save them from getting 50 cal'd by, I'm assuming it's an M3 or an M2, I can't even find exactly, it's somewhere in here, it's an M3, which the 50 cals are just so good against all these German vehicles that don't really have a ton of armor. Germany, though, is pushing back. I'm actually surprised by this. I really thought they were done for, with a huge push across this open field now, as well as the Panther, which is smoke. Uh-oh. The Panther's butt is to this M4A1, so it's really just... Can the... How, is this Sherman pointing at the Panther? It doesn't look like it's pointing at the Panther, because the barrel should be pointing this way. So the Panther's getting some free shots into the Sherman. Oh, the Sherman's rotating. Maybe the turret's damaged. You can see the Panther's turret sort of rotating into distance there. Accuracy, it looks like maybe the crew is completely disabled besides the driver. Or what's more likely is that the turret's broken. Panther misses. Americans have some huge pushes going on over here. They're actually actively, I think, engaging the command vehicle. This Sherman has to keep driving front and left to try and get the gun on target on this Panther, as it's the only thing he can do, because the most likely turret can't rotate anymore. It's about to be on par. This Panther is... Oh, it's aiming, it's aiming, it's aiming. Oh, it hit, like, below the tracks into the lower engine. Don't know if that's enough for a mobility kill, or if it's just going to... Okay, that was a hit on the turret? Oh, that's causing some smoke damage. It looks like... Oh, actually, let's pause it here before the Panther destroys it fully. You can actually see where that shell went in, right next to the machine gun port, or the coaxial machine gun, I should say, port, on the Sherman, with a huge shell hole here of the 75mm on the Panther. There's actually a Sherman tank at the Dutch Museum in Overloon. Oh, the Sherman's disabled. It's gone. There's a Sherman tank at the museum in Overloon, one of the cooler museums I've been to. That's not Dutch bias. That's just... I'm sorry. It's just the truth. One of the ones I've been to. No, you know, maybe there's cooler museums out there that I don't know about. But there's actually a Sherman that was lost in the fighting around Overloon in the battle for the Netherlands in like late 44, early 45. And one of the Shermans there allegedly ran into a Panther. The Panther was left behind there because it ran out of fuel, or the tracks were... It was basically damaged, or it ran out of fuel. But not before it clean popped the turret off the Sherman and threw it very far away. So now there's just a sort of a turret sitting... They collected the Sherman in the turret, and the turret has been kind of placed sort of at an angle on the Sherman to kind of prove like, hey, these fit together. But it just gives you an idea of the Sherman with the, you know, the regular 75mm going up against the Panther just was not necessarily a fair matchup. The Panzer IV-J here coming up against an M20, and it is charging... Oh, no, never mind. The Panzer IV refuses to aim at it. The machine gunner on the M20 now realizing he's probably in a bad spot. Although I'm actually surprised the whole machine gun hasn't killed this guy. Actually, the Germans losing a 221 or 222 over here with more infantry coming in. But it's very clear that if this was Steel Division, there is a you know, maybe about a 75% to 25% map control in favor of the Americans, with another 251 with infantry, with a more gross Deutschland, or great or greater Germany. I think it's the translation. Infantry coming along with the half-track. The German Panzer IV-J is backed up now by a Panzer IV-H. I'm not sure what the difference is between the J and the H. I really only see H's with the full side skirts and the turret side skirts, but I'm not 100% sure on what the difference is between a J and an H, unless that is the difference. I was only introduced to the J by Rob's mod. Oh, that was a good hit. That was HE? That didn't actually seem to... Oh, they're bailing out. The crew's bailing out. They're not getting machine gunned. The German middle left is completely open, bar these last two infantry. A grenadier from just a regular unit, and a guy here with an STG from Gross Deutschland, which actually is a squad leader, but he does have an STG, so he's probably going to try to hold the line against... Oh, never mind. He is now by himself. And the thing is, there's nothing really protecting this left side, because besides this pack, there's no more machine gun. Heavy tank coming in from the Americans. I'll take a look at that in 1 second. We have another M36 coming in from the Americans with a cool sort of turret cover. I'm assuming this was done to sort of prevent grenades from being thrown in or just being susceptible to small arms fire. Just kind of like similar how on the 222 there's this mesh cover, which I'm pretty sure served the same idea. Like if they were driving, there's footage from the liberation of Paris where partisans are shooting inside of like open-top German vehicles, and I can only assume this is sort of meant to stop that to a degree, or at very least like stop shrapnel and maybe grenades from falling in. Another Tiger coming out for the Germans, very menacingly stopped next to their command vehicle. But again, as this one dies, the Americans lose, or the Germans, I should say, in this case, lose the battle. Both German mortars, again, it's going to have a benefit and a downside. They are able to engage the Americans because they are this close to the base, but the Americans are also close to the base, and that's also a bad thing. Now, the left side, that one Grenadier has not made it. The Germans now, the Pak-40 engaging. Infantry has backed up here. We have the 222 that showed up, not the command one because that's still back here. And we have an MA Greyhound. Also, by the way, saw that at the Tank Museum. Very cool. It was a very cool thing to see a bunch of... they even shot some of the main guns. I think they shot the Stuart's main gun, the Sherman 76's main gun, and the Panzer III's 50 mil, which is honestly a bunch of really cool stuff. Now, the Panther, I just missed that. I don't know what shot it. I didn't see this M36 stop, so maybe it just got, maybe it was just an engine damage explosion or a fire, but that Panther, which was holding like the vast majority of the German left flank, is gone. So now it's just a Tiger and what looks to be a Panzer, the Panzer 4J. The Panzer 4J's turret was knocked off, and like, what is that? A good 15, 20 odd meters has been thrown off to the side, and now there's just a Panzer 4H holding the line as well as this Tiger, and the Tiger is going to be coming up against, is that the, that's the half track. It's this, no, where's the other guy? Okay, there's the M36. So the Tiger, the 50 cal is going to snipe the commander out. The Tiger stopping, is it going to engage? Oh, it missed! Or did it even aim for the half track? I guess we'll never know. I should mention, though, that if you really feel like it, you can obviously switch with the numpad keys. You can switch between factions in the editor. So technically, if you really wanted to, I could take over this Tiger and influence the battle. But we're just going to completely let the AI figure it out. Oh, that was a huge shot in the side of the turret. I'm not sure how the M36 didn't see the Tiger. But that's a huge turret shot. You can see the impact right there. I don't know if the Tiger's reload... I mean, it should beat out the M36, especially with the fact that it's like... Oh, it's just been disabled. The half-track here, it's been disabled. The Germans fighting pretty much for every inch here. I was expecting the Americans to win this a little bit faster, especially when we saw them getting this close to the German base. A new Panther now also arriving. And if I'm not mistaken, if we count out the half-track here and the M8 Greyhound here, then the Americans are at a very... Oh, there goes the German half-track. The Americans are not doing so hot when it comes to armor. I'm actually going to... Oh, there goes the Greyhound. Wait. No, this is the... Oh, there's two Greyhounds here right next to each other. Oh, the Greyhound versus the Panzer IV. Panzer IV is not looking. Greyhound... Oh, no Panzer IV to your right. The Greyhound is looking right at this. Oh, he's just gonna bounce. He's just gonna bounce off the... He just bounced off the turret mantlet from the side. Oh, that was a good hit, though. Panzer IV... guys, to your right. Hello. Oh, that was a big old hit. They're just gonna mobility kill this Panzer IV, and they are just completely unaware of the fact that there's a armored car shooting them in the side. I don't know how... That is a Panzer IV-H down to a M8 Greyhound. I was just going to say, the Germans have this numerical superiority in armor with a Tiger, a 4H, and a Panther, and they just lose one of their Panzer IVs to an M8 Greyhound. So that's not a very good trait for them. A new M36, and it does seem to have eyes on this Panther. I'm wondering, it's going to have to stop and fire, and it can't just really fire on the move, or not very accurately either way. It's, oh, the Panther is turning its turret. They're looking at each other. That was a... I don't know. That was a crazy bounce. It might have actually stunned the crew of the Panther because it took a second to sort of catch on. But now the M36 is fighting both the Tiger and a Panther, and that is a kill on the M36. So the Germans still with this advantage on their left side with a Tiger and a Panther. But the Germans in the back right here are just completely getting demolished by what is really a half-track with the 50 and an M8 armored car. But the German infantry can't really do anything against that half-track. It's got it's kind of almost like in like a hold-down position. Every guy who peeks his head out just gets shot at by a 50, and eventually one of those just knocks you out. And the Germans don't have anything to deal with at half-track, so unless some armor shows up here or the half-track pushes up, which I don't think it might, because it looks like it... No, actually, it's not tracked. I was thinking maybe it's tracked, but then the crew would also end up repairing it. So, yeah, the Germans not very good on the right. The middle left, they're mostly holding. Americans on the left side have another M3, and there's another light vehicle, another M3 half-track coming in. But right now it seems like actually not a ton of heavier vehicles out from the Americans. They're basically being 0 tanks, just 3-ish half-tracks and this Greyhound. But they're keeping the Germans at bay on the right. The Germans can't really push up on the middle left because they don't have infantry up with these tanks. Though that does seem like there is some German infantry coming up. It's really the M8 or the M3 half-tracks that are keeping the Americans at bay here. We have a 251. Did I say M3 half-tracks keeping the Americans at bay? Obviously, I meant to say the M3 half-tracks are keeping the Germans at bay. Another M3 half-track, really, again, the bane of the German existence. And we have full squads of Americans coming in. And they don't even need Panzerfausts or bazookas or anything like that because they get their M3 half-tracks that did our dirty work for them. Another a German medium vehicle, another Panzer IV-J. So I'm assuming the Americans will get something similar. This 4J could... There's another vehicle for the Americans. Could kind of push in and potentially destroy these half-tracks. But then the Americans do have this whole sort of cluster of infantry up in this forest. And they're going to be hard to dislodge. The 4J now advancing, and I'm hoping... Oh, it's... Okay, it missed this half-track, which is just kind of sitting here. So we're just going to... Okay, it missed again. You can see the impact just in the background there. So eventually this 4J will be successful. Half-track will be gone. It can move up. Well, you know, I'd say eventually. Eventually, it may be successful. If we sit here long enough and I can string enough words together. Hey, I was about to say, at some point it's going to hit. I would be impressed if... Let's... Alright, German gunnery, not very good. Let's take a bet here. What do you think this is? It's either an M4A1 or it's another M36. It's another M36. So that is going to make most likely very short work of this Panzer IV-J. Especially if the Panzer IV-J has done nothing but kill a single crew member. What are the odds? What are the odds that they manage to snipe the crew off of this M3 half-track and then they shoot it and then they hit it? And I don't know if that was okay. Nope, still not destroyed. Oh, there goes one of the half-tracks. Panther now aiming for the other one. I do believe that they have sort of this built-in priority seeker, which is good, to deal with enemy vehicles, which in this case would be this half-track. But it's not going to... Wait. Let's... This should be dead, right? Okay, I was about to say. So at least the Panzer IV-J can now move up. The M36 is pushing up. On the German right, a Panzer 38 has finally shown up here and really sort of clean out some of these American half-tracks, which were keeping these Germans at bay. So I can only hope now for the Germans that, seeing as the M3s are gone and the crazy 50s are gone, and this field is now more or less sort of no longer covered, that these guys can finally get their man pants on and get pushing. The Germans also receiving another 251. The Americans receiving another M24 Chaffee. I'm not sure how this is going to go. The Germans are just being held back by a couple of units of infantry, but this Slugger, or M36, is just going to run right in front of a Tiger, a Panther, and it just got damaged, and the engine is down. Tiger, I don't know if the Tiger can see this or if it's aiming at it, but the Panther is, and that's a rear mobility kill, and I think that was the driver, and this thing might just be empty. It is. So in a crazy sort of upset, the Americans now, I would still say, hold about 60 to 70% of the map, but they are not in any sort of way or shape to push anymore, considering the Germans now have a Panther, a Panzer IV-J, a Tiger, a 251, a 251, and a Panzer 38. And the only thing the Americans have to show for that is this M24, which is going to take out a 251, which is good, because that's one less vehicle for the Germans. And then again, the German M251 is very mediocre, especially when the AI controls it, based off this, like, very meh arc. You can see the arc actually right here that the gun can sort of rotate on left to right. And they even had one of these 251s at this museum, and it was interesting how even they mentioned the terrible arc that the German half-tracks had for the machine gun compared to, say, the M3 American half-track, which obviously has I think pretty much a 360 degree of turret rotation, which is huge, not only just for anti-aircraft duties, but just in general. Like, you can respond to a target that's slightly off to your right or left, and you're not just forced to move the entire vehicle over to one side or the other. So this M24, I'm honestly surprised it's still in the... Whoa, is it another Panzer 38T? Oh, it just took out one. I think it took out this left one. Yeah, it did. So now it's... Oh, but the Chaffee... No, it's still up. The driver... No, actually, it's good. It might... Oh, Panzer 38T is starting to go for a flanking run. Chaffee misses. Panzer 38 misses. Another thing missed. Oh, my lord. What is even happening right now? The Germans with another J and a King Tiger, which looks to be a Porsche turret, which is the early version. And this... yeah, I don't know how the Americans are going to be able to deal with that unless they get some sort of Pershing. They are getting a bunch of reinforcements in the form of an M4A1 and another M36. So on the left side of the German... Oh, man, the Americans and their incendiary grenades. They basically... Guys screaming to the engine's on fire. That's a kill. The incendiary grenade killing a second German vehicle. Oh, those guys are... Oh, that guy became on fire, I think, in being in proximity. This might have been the doing of... Oh, I'm trying to find him. He's in here somewhere. American soldier who is... Oh, right here. So this guy might have actually thrown an incendiary grenade on that Panzer IV. Because I don't know how else they could have had, got one on there. Panther now moving up against the M36 and the regular Sherman. There goes the track. And it looked like it even went into the engine, considering it's now also smoking. And this Panther needs to quickly get its... Oh! The M36 caught moving. Sherman most likely ignored because it's less of a threat. That Panther is done for. I don't think... Yeah, crew is bailing out. That was just too much, getting shot by the M36. Another scout car, so another 50 cal, but not with that amazing 360 ability, but still a decent gun. Something the Germans obviously don't have on their half-tracks. The King Tiger now moving up and coming face-to-face with an M36. The M36 getting a shot, not tracking it. Although that does look like some damage right... Oh, no, they did track it. No, I was wrong. They did track it. So now the Tiger is going up against the Slugger in the background. Slugger going for a different target. A regular Sherman showing up in the background as well. Tiger, I have no clue where that shell went. So now we sit here for, like, what, 8 to 10 seconds as the crew gets a 88mm shell together and loads in. Oh, they're aiming for the Sherman right now. That was a low shot, but it may have tracked that Sherman. That was a shot that just hit right on this, like, angled part of the... I don't know if this was it, but I want to say it was. I know it wasn't, but it just looks cool, and it makes the story cooler, right? That Sherman is... Okay, now it's dead. I think that went straight through The Slugger, or M36, still hitting sort of off. Oh, they haven't destroyed it yet. No, that's gone. The M36 just whiffing. The Tiger II crew hitting. This is... honestly, okay, so the Panzer IV-J was the one that was taken out by either the M4A1 or the Slugger from a distance. The M36 now missing. The King Tiger is just not really sure. Infantry is being engaged by the machine gun, but I wish that they would actually engage that Slugger, because right now they're just kind of... At some point, this guy's going to get lucky, right? Or maybe they even have a couple of HFAP rounds they could load. I'm honestly impressed that the Germans haven't lost this yet, considering at one point they were down to basically their base. The King Tiger still engaging infantry with HE instead of focusing on the actual 90mm tank destroyer that's shooting them. But at the same time, it's like a perfect angle. Oh, it's turning its turret. It's aiming, it's reloading. You can hear the shell being reloaded. Oh, that was a good hit. I think they may have actually damaged the engine on that one. And it's tracked. Oh, you can see the impact from the King Tiger right here. And I don't think there's enough armor on that to... That looked like a clean penetration. King Tiger and the Slugger are still... Oh, okay, I think they finally took it out. So that was a battle of the behemoths. Now we have more coming in. Ooh, this looks like a very cool tank. There's lots of just like furniture on here, like sandbags and all kinds of little just pieces of equipment and stuff. It looks very good. So this M4A3 is now coming up against another Panther. We have a regular half-track, a King Tiger, and this Panzer 38 that is very, very, very lost. I don't think it really belongs here. Although it's great for killing half-tracks. I don't know if the Panzer 38 could potentially be killed by the 50 on the half-track. It would be an interesting possibility. I'm not 100% sure if it could pin the turret or maybe the hull, maybe from the side. Although this Panzer 38 is tracked and the crew cannot get a shot on this half-track because it's exactly hiding behind this house. Germans are sending up more stuff, but they are still being pressured. Another one of these Panhard sort of Beute Panzers or Beute Panzer Spähwagen, which I think that's what PZSPW stands for, like armored. I think this is that. I think that means Spähwagen might mean recon vehicle. I think that's what that means anyway, or armored recon vehicle. And now the question is, can they knock out that half-track before the crew inside gets melted by the 50? Are they even hitting it? That was just tickling it, isn't it? I think it's just tickling this thing. Oh, never mind. It finally knocked it out. 25mm, not being very good. Sherman, this is the M4A3, I think, going up against the Panther with the Sherman hitting low. I don't know if the... This is a terrible shot for the Sherman. Only thing you could really see is the turret and the commander's cupola and maybe the, like, mantlet. So this is some really tight shooting, and I don't know if it has the pen. Ooh. I don't know if it has the pen to go through the front of a Panther. Is it also getting shot by the pack? Okay, this thing is now in trouble. It's getting shot by 2 different 75 mils. Well, actually, the Panther is moving off to get a better side shot. That may have been a huge shot for the Pack 40, potentially killing some of the crew. The commander is now popping inside to maybe take over a role of a different crew member who just got evaporated by the 75 mil from the Pack 40. And the Panther is ever so slightly crawling up here. Surprisingly, tons of hits from that Panther on the Sherman, although this could be a brutal hit. It's aiming away. Did it just get... I swear, what is hitting this thing? Is it an incendiary again? Is it like rifle grenades? Something was just bouncing off this Panther once or twice. The Sherman just driving away. I'm assuming it was... Yeah, that's a track shot, and that's a disable. I'm assuming that it was mostly, more likely, gun damaged. So now, the Germans are... I want to say they're ahead purely on the fact that they have a King Tiger and they have a Panther. But I don't know if the AI is able to repair stuff. So maybe I'm going to start taking over things here, issuing repair orders to any and all. Oh, there's... Okay, I need to start issuing repair orders to some of these vehicles just so they can actually be used. So I'll do the same for the Americans. This one doesn't need a repair. If I see any, like, broken tanks, I'm definitely going to issue some repair orders. I'm actually surprised that they don't repair themselves, but otherwise this battle is going to take forever. If these tanks can't move, they're just going to cause the following. This King Tiger will then track a Jackson or a Slugger or some, you know, whatever comes in. And it's just going to get worse because they're going to track this vehicle. This vehicle maybe takes out this one. A new German vehicle comes in. It destroys that one, but gets tracked in the process. And it just never sort of... They never move on beyond just being bunker. So this actually is now... Okay, the tracks are repaired, so at least that's good. The King Tiger has also had its tracks repaired. Crew's mounting back up. So if any American vehicle loses its tracks or... Oh... Oh no, Panther! It just lost its turret! The turret got blown back like 25-ish meters. By what? I don't even... Was it a bazooka? I can't see like any... honestly, oh, I thought that was an incendiary. Knowing the Americans, it probably was an incendiary grenade somewhere. So, the Americans, another M4A1 and a half-track. But I'm thinking this isn't going to go anywhere. I mean, honestly, at this point, I would have to give this to the... Oh, another Panzer IIIM. At this point, I would probably give it to the Americans if I had to make a choice. We're about 45 minutes in, so at some point, it's probably, you know, get to an end. And I'm not sure if either side can do it, because the Germans have this heavy King Tiger locked into position. These vehicles and armored cars don't really matter. The only thing that's going to matter here is the 4J and the Panzer, like the early Königstiger. And, oh, okay, if they knock out, there's a Bazooka Man, an heroic Bazooka Man, I should add, shooting at the front of this. If this thing gets knocked out, I would have to give it to the Americans, because there's no way that they would lose anymore. I'm just... Okay, is it gonna go aim for the... I mean, I'm kind of like... This is like kind of Banner Brothers-y right here. Like, aim for the lower plate! Oh, he's advancing, firing again. I don't think he's gonna get... I'll be honest with you, I think he's being very excited. I don't think he's gonna get a shot that's gonna penetrate that King Tiger. Granted, maybe if he hits it from the side of the turret. Although, I'm actually surprised that the hull machine gunner isn't finishing this guy off. It does look very cinematic, though. There's German infantry all over this guy. He's not going to have forever. At some point, this guy is going to get shot. We got some Americans here trying to defend their bazooka guy. Oh my lord, do you see the amount of Germans is coming over this ridge? He keeps hitting the King Tiger. The German infantry is advancing. What are these even? Oh, they're Volksgrenadier. You gotta hit the turret! Oh my god. At one point he's gonna do it, right? Reload. I want this guy to win. Oh my, he was so... I swear, a side hit on that. You know what? Watch me instantly get shot. Oh, now... Uh-oh. Lower plate hit, maybe? Okay, the second I take over, the guy goes into... the turret gets moved. I'm really trying to try and see if I can even pen the side of that turret. I don't think I can. Uh-oh. Hello? King Tiger? It was green. Did we disable the gun? I think at that point I was trying to disable the gun. It's funny how the King Tiger didn't care. The second I took over that guy, though, it was like, we're not doing that. So, I'll be honest with you. I think in the long run, the Americans are going to win. They've been at the German base the entire time. The Germans have been on the back foot the entire battle. The fact that they have these 251s without like a machine gun that can rotate towards this doesn't help them, but that's just German design. They currently have a new Tiger up as well. They have this 4J, but just based on the fact that the Americans have held 60 to 70% of the German base, or the map, I should say, and the fact that they even lost some of the crew. They lost one of the machine guns, they lost one of the crews, or they lost two. Oh my god, look at the amount of shells that have been fired from this pack. That's insane. They lost two of the crew on this pack 40. They lost some of the crew on one of these mortars back here. They completely lost the crew on these defensive weapons. The Americans haven't lost a single weapon or crew in the back. I don't think their mortars have even... Oh. Huh. What happened there? So the Americans have lost one of their mortar crew, but it looks like at this point I'd almost assume this might have been just super insanely lucky, like autocannon fire or something. I don't think the Germans ever got close enough to hitting these guys, but it's hard to call it. The Germans have a Tiger, they have a King Tiger, they have what comes in to be probably another Panther, another Panzer IV-J, and in return, the Americans just have M36s and regular Shermans, so I don't really know who to call this one for, but if we're basing it off just a sort of a invisible point system, still division-wise, on who held the most of the map, it's always going to be the Americans in this scenario, because they were just doing... Oh, that's unfortunate for the Americans. They did lose this M36, which may have even just been lost to this little Panzer IV-J. In general, though, I think that's what we're going to have to call it, just so this video isn't unironically 7 hours long, and who knows what may happen in those 7 hours. I would have to say the Americans have won this battle. It's purely based on the fact that they have pushed further and managed to, in the end, I think, get into range of the German HQ to the point where I swear they maybe... I saw some tracers try to, like, hit around the 222 command vehicle. So maybe not the end-all be-all conclusion that some of you maybe have hoped for, but I just think this makes the most sense considering the fact that we've been going at it for about 52 minutes and there isn't a winner. But if you had to pick one, I think the Americans, just for having pushed further and further into the German area. Now, actually, they're about 55 to 45-ish, if you count the, like, west-east, sort of this line as the middle, like 45, 55, or 40, 60. But the British, or I should say the British, the Americans, or there's an American right here. Is this like, I'm trying to find the most forward dead American, because that might actually sort of give us an idea. So the most forward dead American all the way, that was a tank crew, but still, that must be a 75%. Whereas in the Germans, I don't think there's any dead Germans over here. The most furthest away dead German is probably some sort of crew who didn't die that far back. So I think for now we're going to call it here. The Americans have won on time/points. I hope you enjoyed this style of video, because there are a few more to do, like the Germans versus the Soviets. There's some like summer ones. And I think there's also some in Assault Squad 2 that could be really cool to take a look at. So for now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.